Our new anime begins under tense weather where a regular assassin crosses paths with a legendary assassin. Both were after the same target, and according to the Hitman Code, if 2 or more assassins are hired for the same person, they must compete to decide who earns the work. Our protagonist was well known in the assassin world for his immense skill and power, so he swiftly defeated the other assassin without taking so much as a scratch. That's how he secured the job and approached the man he was commissioned to eliminate. But his life wasn't always like this. Back in Japan, he was just a regular high school student. His class was filled with extroverts who constantly mingled with each other except for our protagonist Akira. One day a guy tried to talk to him about the book he was reading, but Akira wasn't really interested in chatting. Others from the same class barely even noticed that Akira existed, and Akira was painfully aware of this because he had always stayed in the background. It always hurt him inside. But soon an even bigger issue arose when the entire class got surrounded by a light. Before they could even react or run away, that light swallowed them all and transported them to a distant world where an old man called for their attention. Because the king and princess wished to speak to them, they appeared rather arrogant as the king, name was Morrigan, but he claimed that their kingdom was under grave danger of being invaded by demons and that only they could save it. The old man brought out a mystical orb. It was said that the orb could identify a person's status and job. This was the only way to identify who among them was the true hero. Although everyone else would still receive powers to aid that hero in his quest, one by one, each student stepped forward to see which powers and classes they had received. When it was Akira's turn, he saw that he had been given the assassin class. Soon the hero was revealed as the orb shone brightly. His status was double the strength of any other student received. Everyone praised him as the chosen one who truly deserved that title. However, Akira secretly saw that his own stats were far higher than the hero's, but he decided to play smart. Among his skills was conceal, so Akira used it to disappear from the status check parade. As everyone began to leave, he noticed several cameras installed around the area, which immediately made him cautious, but someone had already taken notice of him. Later, when the heroes were assigned their chambers, Akira found his own room looked more like a storage closet. Still, he changed and went out to gather information. From above, he observed the summoning circle and the library. There he overheard the king and princess talking about the heroes, clearly hiding something. The king even ordered that no one was allowed to approach the royal archives. And Akira knew they were up to no good and thought about putting an end to it that very night, but he decided to hold back for the moment. Then the next morning, the heroes were treated to a grand breakfast. Akira considered whether he should tell everyone what he had overheard. But then the so-called hero stood up and proudly asked everyone to help him in his noble quest to defeat the demon lord and protect the innocent. Akira got his answer right there and decided to stay silent. Soon after, Saran, the commander of the knights, arrived and led everyone to training grounds. For 1 month they would learn the basics before entering a dungeon to test their skills. Akira sat this one out and Saran noticed him. So he followed Akira later when he was wandering outside. Akira thought he had been exposed because his conceal skill had a time limit, but Saran assured him that his skill was still active. It was just that Saran's eyes is capable of detecting heat signatures. This could have been a problem, but Saran clarified that he wasn't loyal to the king, so Akira could relax. Akira then sat with him and expressed his desire to understand this world better, asking about magic and skill levels. His conceal skill was already maxed out while the rest of his skills were only level 1. Saran told him he could train him. Though as for visiting the archives, he said it was pointless because there was nothing valuable there. Akira started to believe in him and admitted that he just wanted to go back home to his family. That's how their unlikely friendship began. Partners in crime, as Saran began teaching him everything about different races like elves and demons living across continents. Saran trained Akira separately from the others to help keep his abilities secret. After weeks of training, Saran's junior officers began to complain about the extra workload since Saran focused entirely on Akira. But Saran couldn't stop now as he was uncovering how different another world truly was. Besides, but there comes Akira, and while exploring the archives, Akira found a book that exposed Saran's secret. It was a plan of rebellion disguised as a cookbook. Saran had hidden it there because he discovered that the summoning rituals the king used was horrific, as in more so the king's ambitions were even more twisted. So as a knight, Saran wanted to correct the corrupt ways of this kingdom. Akira thought back to that first night when he had the chance to stop everything but hesitated. The king hadn't even realized Akira was there, yet he couldn't bring himself to kill him. Saran told him that he made the right choice. because if he wants to return home it's better to keep his hands clean from blood. However, he did ask Akira for help with the coming coup. Saran admired how Akira played smart from the very start, hiding his stats and refusing to trust the royal family's lies. Eventually, Saran convinced Akira to join his side. Soon after that, the heroes were sent to the dungeon. The streets were crowded with people cheering for them. But among the crowd someone caught Akira's eye, so he approached her and tried to speak, but she looked disgusted by the celebration. She told him that no one knew the true price that was paid to summon them there. She asked Akira to first uncover the truth and promised they would meet again. Akira believed her words, and with that they entered the dungeon. Everyone performed surprisingly well for beginners, though they still made small mistakes here and there. So Saran decided to end the session for the day. As they were preparing to retreat, a group of orcs appeared ahead. The hero remembered the smoke bomb the princess had given him, said to repel monsters with its scent, but when he used it, it had the opposite effect, that it summoned a terrifying minotaur. Akira stepped forward to face it but couldn't land any real damage. The hero laid on the ground with broken hands and shattered confidence. Akira tried to lift his spirit but soon realized something was wrong. He asked the disenchanter to help because the hero was cursed. Akira then told Saran to create an opening for him and to trust his plan, so Saran used his thunder skill to jolt the monster, and Akira used his new skill to finish the work. But this where episode 1 has to end. But no worries, other episodes will come every week, so make sure you subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon or you might miss it. So take care until then.